Hello guys, welcome back. In this video we are going to discuss the important topic that is nothing but WWTP. What is WWTP? WWTP is nothing but the wastewater treatment plant. Wastewater treatment plant. So WWTP means it's nothing but wastewater treatment plant. This is an important topic you need to understand very well. And so we'll be discussing many steps in this process. So what is the use of this plant basically? So wastewater treatment plant, what is the work of this? So basically it converts the water sewage or the wastewater to a clarified water or to a such a water that can be discharged into the seas, into the water bodies. So let us discuss first the first step that has to be seen here. So basically the first step we can say, see, whenever wastewater is there, that is sent to what? The wastewater treatment plant. When it reaches there, first step is that there will be bar screens. What is now bar screen? There will be what? Bar screen. Okay, so bar screen is basically this type of bar screen will be there through which water is passed. So whenever water passes through this, the solids, okay, so remember this, the solids which are larger in size will be blocked there. That means whenever water flows through the bar screen, so basically they can ask you the function of bar screen. So bar screen basically large objects, suppose we can say solids like plastic, toys, napkins, any type of plastics that will be stopped whenever the wastewater passes through it. This is the first step you need to remember. So first step is basically the wastewater is passed through the bar screen. What is the function of bar screen? It basically blocks all the solid or the large particles. Okay, so large particles is stopped by the bar screen, so that it will allow only the some amount of water. It will allow water, but it will stop the solid particles, that means the large particles which cannot be passed through this bar screen. Now the second method you need to remember, or the second step you need to remember, is that so after passing through the bar screen, now water then goes to what? Removal tank. What you have to remove? So basically after passing through this thing, bar screen, then it goes to what? A removal tank. Okay, basically we can say it is nothing but what? A removal tank. What it removes? It basically removes the grit, or we can say stones or sand, small particles. How they can remove? Basically they will reduce the speed of the incoming water, or we can say wastewater, and they will allow them to settle down. So what happens is here basically the process we can say sedimentation. Sedimentation is the process in which the particles will settle down. So sedimentation is the process in which the particles settle down. So basically removal tank means they are just allowing the water to settle down. So basically this sand particles get settled down at the bottom of this water, this tank we can say. Okay, so the second step we can say this thing. Now basically the third step, moving on to the third step. So in third step we can say that it's basically then after settling down, the solid like feces, human excretory, okay, so basically they also get settled down at the bottom, and they are removed by scraper. Remember these things. These are all the functions you have to remember. They will ask you the function of scraper. The scraper is basically what? It removes the solid feces or the solid particles which are settled down. Basically the solid like feces which get settled down at the bottom of the tank, they are removed by what? Scraper. Okay, they are removed by the scraper. This is called as what? Sludge. So what is sludge? Sludge is nothing but the solid like solid particles like feces which are removed by the scraper. So feces are nothing but what? The solid particles like feces are nothing but what? The sludge. So they are basically removed from the tank. So basically they are first allowed to settle down, then they are removed by the equipment or by this thing called as what? Scraper. So now the some of the solids may be floating. See, I'll show you. So basically in the tank some of the solids may be floating. You might have seen like a plastics, okay, plastics or any sort of floating material will be floating over the tank. So there what we can do, there we use a skimmer. What is the function of skimmer? It basically removes, it also removes, but here in case of skimmer it removes what? It removes the floating material such as oil and grease. So they can also remove some sort of plastic, small particles, plastic materials. Basically they are removed in the first stage itself, but remaining some of those things will be there. Even the oil and the grease will be there. They are removed by skimmer. So scraper removes what? The feces, removes the feces. That is nothing but sludge. Sludge, what you have to remember? Sludge. Then the skimmer function is to remove the oil and grease, which are nothing but the solid particles which are floating over the water. Now in this tank, now what will be remaining? Now nothing is left, right? So if you observe the tank, now they have removed all the floating materials and even the settled particles, solid particles by skimmer and scraper. All the particles have been removed. Now some sort of particles will be remained, but still we can say that it is basically clarified water. Okay, some amount will be remaining, but still we can say it is nothing but what? Clarified water. Okay, now so what will happen with the sludge? Now the important concept comes here, that is based on the sludge. So we'll discuss what is basically sludge and what is the use of sludge and all. So basically you have to remember that whenever, so basically they have used what? They have used scraper to remove what? Sludge. That is nothing but solid particles. Now sludge is basically transferred to a tank. Okay, they are removed the sludge from the water, okay, wastewater, that okay, from that tank they have removed. So initially I'll just draw it. Initially the tank was containing the sludge as well as the floating solids. Sludge as well as what? So floating solids has been removed by the skimmer and the sludge has been removed by the scraper, solid feces. Now the sludge is transferred to a separate tank where it is decomposed. Remember this word, decomposed by what? Anaerobic bacteria. So basically they will convert the sludge material, that means anaerobic bacteria will convert the sludge material into what? Biogas. Remember this. So they will convert the sludge into the, this is decomposed. Okay, so basically they will remove the sludge into the biogas by the anaerobic bacteria, okay, which are already present in the that tank. Now the biogas produced can be used in what? Can be used as fuel and even to produce what? Electricity. Okay, these are all the things you have to remember. So basically you have to remember that sludge, they are being used, okay, they are not wasted, they have been used and converted into the biogas by using the anaerobic bacteria. Now moving on to the first step, this was one intermediate step. Okay, Basically, they are removed from the water, they are just transferring it to another tank. Basically, we are moving on to the fourth step. Now the remaining thing, what is the remaining thing then? Then clarified water. So when we remove these two things, then what is left out? See, when we remove these two, now left out will be what? In the tank, clarified water will be remaining. We can say it is basically a clarified water. So clarified water, then this water, okay, in the tank, clarified water is left out. So basically, in that clarified water, air is pumped. What is pumped? Air, or we can say aerator tank also. Aerator tank means air is pumped into the clarified water. So when air is pumped into the clarified water, why they are pumping the air? Because in order to increase the growth of aerobic bacteria. What is aerobic bacteria then? Aerobic bacteria is nothing but which needs the bacteria which needs what? Oxygen for the survival. Anaerobic bacteria which does not need oxygen, so they can survive by their own. We have studied anaerobic and aerobic respiration. So aerobic bacteria basically lives with the help of what? Oxygen. So in order to grow the aerobic bacteria, why they are growing aerobic bacteria, that we'll be discussing. Basically, you have to understand here, basically to grow the aerobic bacteria we need to pump air. That is the important thing. Now why we are growing this aerobic bacteria, that is a question here. So basically, in order to, this bacteria will consume, important concept comes here, that means it will consume what? It will consume what are the left out thing? It will consume all the food waste, okay, whatever it is, whatever. See, in the clarified water, it is not a pure water, it may contain all some particles, left out particles. So that will be consumed by aerobic bacteria. Some food waste, okay, some food waste we can say, some unwanted matter we can say, that all will be consumed by this aerobic bacteria. Now after several hours we can say, then the suspended this aerobic bacteria will settle down. See, basically clarified water will contain some sort of food waste, any unwanted material that is consumed by the aerobic bacteria. Now this water, suppose if I see over here, this water will what? Now this clarified water will, now the aerobic bacteria, all this bacteria will settle down, okay, all the bacteria which has been consumed by, which has consumed what? Food waste, all sort of unwanted material, that will settle down after several hours. Then this is nothing but what? Activated sludge. Activated sludge. So we have discussed what is sludge. Sludge is nothing but the solid feces or solid material which are removed by the scraper, correct? So in clarified water, the aerobic bacteria will consume all the food waste and other unwanted material, and they will then settle down. So bacteria will settle down after some time. That is something but what? Activated sludge. Now the top water can be removed, okay. Now the top water will be more purified, we can say, because it has consumed all sort of food waste. Now they have been, they then the top water, okay, they can be removed. Now the water is then removed, then we can discharge it to the sea or water bodies. Then the nature will take care of this water. That means then when we discharge into the sea or river or any ground, nature cleans it up further. That is the nature thing, okay. So basically nature will do some sort of this thing. That means in the environment, so we have to discharge this into the sea, so the water can be discharged into the sea. Sometimes it may be necessary that to disinfect water. Why we need to disinfect water? That is a question over here. What is disinfect? Disinfect means killing the germs, whichever it is present in the water. Suppose we boil the water. Why we boil the water? In order to kill the germs and all. Correct? Okay. So disinfect water means basically killing the germs. How can we kill the germs? Or kill the impurities, remove the impurities by adding chemicals. What sort of chemicals? We can add chlorine or we can add ozone. So basically whenever it is necessary, okay, whenever it is necessary, they will add this sort of chemical so that they will disinfect the water. Disinfect means killing the germs and all. Then they release to the distribution center, or we can say water bodies, to the nature. Alright, so this is the whole concept behind the WWTP, that is wastewater treatment plant.